Hello team. Today I'm going to show you how to read, annotate, and jot the gist for Activity 1 in the Lesson 12 Taking Risks Note Catcher. So the text you are reading is Sex, Drugs, and Self-Control. It's not just about rebellion. Neuroscience is revealing adolescents' rich and nuanced relationship with risky behavior. We are going to be highlighting facts in yellow. So for example, the death rate among 15 to 19-year-olds worldwide is about 35% higher than that among 10 to 14-year-olds. That is a fact because it is a statement that can be proven. And it contains certain elements such as numbers. Numbers are a good indicator that you are dealing with a fact. But the most important part is that it can be proven. Opinions are highlighted in green. For example, how adolescents interact with risk is important. An opinion is something that you believe or that you think to be true, and it cannot necessarily be proven using data, research, or evidence. So, for example, how adolescents interact with risk is important is an opinion because while for some people, how adolescents interact with risk is important, for others, it's not so important. So you want to ask yourself, is this a statement that can be proven using research, data, and evidence? If yes, it is a fact. If no, it is an opinion. So the first section, I'm going to demonstrate how to annotate using this key. Science has often looked at risk-taking among adolescents as a monolithic problem for parents and the public to manage or endure. So where it says that risk-taking among adolescents is a monolithic problem, that is something that is an opinion, that adolescents are a problem. However, I'm not going to highlight this because what I really want to highlight are facts and opinions that I can then use to support an essay on this topic. So I'm going to show you what I mean. This next sentence has a statement that I could use in an essay about this topic. When Eva Telser, a neuroscientist at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, asks family, friends, undergraduates, or researchers in related fields about their perception of teenagers, there is almost never anything positive, she says. It's a pervasive stereotype. So this right here is an opinion that I am going to highlight in green. And it's an opinion because words like almost never, right, that kind of shows to me, well, some people might not see it that way. You can't really measure almost never, right? What is almost never? Is it 50%, 70%, 80%, right? It varies. You can't necessarily use numbers to represent almost never. And so that's why it's an opinion. And I highlighted it because this is something I could use to support the idea that adolescents engage in risky behavior. This would be a good quote to use. The next sentence, but how Alex and Cole dabble with risk, considering its social value alongside other pros and cons, is in keeping with the more complex picture emerging from neuroscience. Adolescent behavior goes beyond impetuous rebellion or uncontrollable hormones, says Adriana Galvan, a neuroscientist at the University of California, Los Angeles. How we define risk-taking is going through a shift. So that last sentence right now, how we define risk-taking is going through a shift, that is a fact because you can look at how risk-taking was defined before, look at how it's defined now, and you could see that it is different. If she had said how we define risk-taking is going through a major shift, that would make it an opinion because words like major, minor, those are opinion words. What you think is major might not be what someone else thinks is major. But because she did not use an adjective to describe the shift, but merely said there was a shift, that can be proven, and that is a fact. Okay, so you're going to continue to do that for the rest of this section. When you get to where it says Section A, jot the gist, this is where you are going to summarize what the section was mostly about. So since I have already read this section, what I can deduce is that this section is mostly about how adolescents take more risks than adults according to popular opinion. Okay? So again, my gist meets the criteria. which I have described to y'all before, which is you're naming the subject, you are describing a central idea from that section, and if applicable, using vocabulary words introduced in that section. For me, I'm identifying the subject as adolescence. This idea of taking more risks than adults is what is being presented to us. And I'm adding in this part according to popular opinion because I think that's really important in how the author develops the main idea in this article. That the author begins with what is the popular opinion on adolescence and risk taking. So, with that, you're going to go and read the rest of the article, jotting the gist for each section until you get to activity 2, which is identify the main idea of sex, drugs, and self-control. And so this is where you go using all of your gists to come up with the main idea of the entire article. And your main idea should be one complete sentence where you identify the main subject or topic of the text, describe a central idea from the text, and use relevant vocabulary. So if we take the article, The Shifting Boundaries of Adolescence, as an example, you might remember that the main idea was adolescence is a social construct that cannot be concretely measured or defined. And so, if we're going with that main idea, notice that the subject is adolescence, the vocabulary word that was used was social construct, and that the central idea was that adolescence is a social construct that cannot be concretely measured or defined. So, it is one complete sentence that gets at what the entire article was mostly about. You are going to do that before the article, sex, drugs, and self-control. Where did the recording go? Hello?